Hey, so today I wanted to share a few stories that, honestly, kind of messed with me a bit. They're not your usual ghost stuff. These are about UFOs, weird lights in the sky, strange figures, and people who swear they've seen things they can't explain. Whether you believe in this kind of thing or not, the way these stories are told, they feel real. Like, too real. Anyway, I'll let you decide. This is Scare Archive, and these are some of the strangest alien encounters I've come across.
It was summer, a hot, humid summer. Six of us, a group of friends, myself, Sarah, David, Mark, Chris, and Lisa, decided we needed an escape, a refuge from the city, from the routine, from the noise. We chose the Whispering Pines National Forest. The name itself should have been a warning, maybe. Back then, it sounded poetic. Now it sounds almost premonitory. We set up our camp deep in the woods, far from any obvious trail. The air in there, it was different, cleaner, fresher. The smell of pine was intoxicating. And the stars, oh my God, the stars, you've never seen stars like that in the city. They were like diamonds scattered on black velvet. Infinite, brilliant. We sat there, gathered round the bonfire Mark had built, the best bonfire I've ever seen. The flames danced, casting long, distorted shadows on the trees around us. Laughter, lots of laughter. We had beers, some snacks, and stories, so many stories to tell. I remember thinking in that moment, this is perfect. This is where I want to be. Nothing can ruin this. Little did I know. Around 11 o'clock at night, weariness started to set in. That good kind of tired, you know? The kind that pulls you down after a day of fresh air and good company. I said my goodnights to the others. They were still lively, murmuring low conversations near the embers that had now replaced the vivid flames. I crawled into my tent, the zipper making that familiar sound, and snuggled into my sleeping bag. The softness, the smell of earth, the muffled darkness, I fell asleep almost immediately. But the sleep didn't last. I woke up abruptly. It wasn't a sound, it wasn't a dream, it was a feeling, a strange urgency, a call of nature, yes, but also a chill down my spine that had no explanation. I looked at my wristwatch, the greenish blue glow in the darkness. 2 a.m., 2 in the morning, exactly. With a sigh, I unzipped my tent. The pre-dawn air was even colder, damper. My friends, still awake. Their voices now were just an almost inaudible murmur coming from the nearly extinguished bonfire. "Don't you guys ever sleep?" I grumbled, more to myself than to them as I walked away. I decided to go a little deeper into the woods, away from the camp. I called out to Sarah to come with me. She was always the bravest of the group. "Come with me," I said. "I don't want to go alone." We walked about 100, maybe 130 feet into the woods, the smell of damp earth and pine now stronger. Where the bonfire's light didn't reach, it was almost total darkness, only punctuated by my weak flashlight. We found a huge oak tree, perfect for what we needed. I crouched down behind the oak tree, and that's when it happened. Without warning, a flash. No, it wasn't a flash. It was like the sun had exploded behind me. A white light, so absurdly, impossibly bright that it seemed to tear through the very darkness. I turned my face away, but it was useless. My eyes ached, as if they were being burned from the inside out. I couldn't open them. It was so intense that I could feel the light, a physical pressure on my skin. And then, the sound. Sarah's scream, a sharp, primal, pure terror scream, a sound I will never forget. She didn't say a word, just that scream, and then I heard the sound of her feet running wildly, dry leaves crunching underfoot, faster and faster, getting further away. I didn't think. I couldn't think. Fear, pure, overwhelming fear took over me. I started running too, stumbling in the darkness, blind from the light, desperate to get back to camp, to the safety of my friends. When I finally stumbled back into the clearing, to where the bonfire had been, my friends were there, frozen, like statues, their eyes wide, fixed on something behind me. I didn't need to ask. I knew. Whatever it was there. I turned around, my heart hammering in my chest, a drum of dread. But the light was still there. White, overwhelming. You couldn't make out anything. No shape, no outline. Just light. I don't know how long it lasted. 10 seconds? 20? It felt like an eternity. An eternity of paralyzing terror. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. Poof. Gone. As if it had never existed. The silence that followed was almost as terrifying as the light. The darkness was now deeper, more oppressive. We just stood there, staring at each other, shadows dancing on our faces, trying to process. David's ragged breathing, Lisa's muffled sobbing. It was a spaceship, I whispered, my voice trembling, almost inaudible. David, always the skeptic but with bulging eyes, tried to laugh. Don't be ridiculous. But there was no humor in his voice. None. It was pure fear.
It was Mark who broke the trance. The cameras, he managed to stammer. Mark was a tech enthusiast and always brought his trail cameras, those motion-activated ones, when we went camping. He had placed 3 of them in strategic spots around our camp to catch wildlife, he'd say. In that moment, it wasn't wildlife we were worried about. We rushed to retrieve them, hands trembling, the irrational hope that the truth would be there, recorded. But when we checked, nothing. The memory cards were completely blank, empty, as if they had never been inserted, or as if the light had erased everything. That just compounded our dread.
After that, sleep was impossible. Completely impossible. No one could close an eye. We decided to take shifts, 2 of us awake every hour, watching. What were we watching for? I don't know, but we had to do something. We needed to feel like we had some control. Little did we know. Around 4 a.m., Chris and Lisa were on watch. The silence of the woods was broken by Chris's urgent whisper. Guys, wake up! We got up, muscles aching, heads heavy. They were pointing to the dense thicket that marked the boundary of our clearing with the dense forest. There's something there, Lisa whispered, her voice thin with fear. It's moving. It's coming closer. The panic we thought we had mastered returned with full force. Our hearts pounded, blood ran cold in our veins. We huddled together, watching the thicket. The seconds dragged, felt like hours. And then, one of Mark's cameras, the one he had positioned closest to the tree line, started flashing, erratically, like a strobe. 5 rapid flashes, one after another. Flash, 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 flash. And then silence. A deadly silence. There was no more sound from the thicket. The cameras stopped flashing. Everything
became completely still. We stood there, straining our eyes into the darkness, waiting, but nothing, absolutely nothing else happened.
Daylight, finally, brought a wave of relief. But it was a fragile relief, mixed with a feeling of unreality. We were exhausted, mentally and physically. We decided to pack everything up, get out of there as fast as possible, not another minute in that forest. As we packed up our tents, Mark, his hands still trembling, rechecked the camera that had flashed. He took out the memory card and, with a confused expression, turned it to me. 2 images, blurry, but undeniably showing something bizarre. A silhouette. You couldn't make out details, but it wasn't an animal. It wasn't. It was a different shape. I convinced him to give me one of the photos, despite his initial reluctance. "No one will believe us if we don't have something," I said.
But the real discovery, the discovery that chilled us to the bone, came later. We practically flew out of that forest, barely stopping for gas. We got to Michael's house in the city, and the first thing we did was look at those photos on the larger computer screen. They were blurry, yes, but there was no doubt. There was something there. But we couldn't stay shocked for long. We looked at each other. All of us, all 6. We had a sunburn, a strange sunburn, reddish orange. It wasn't the tan you get after a day at the beach. It was like we had spent an entire week under a scorching sun without sunscreen. But the color was different, strange, an almost alien hue. And the weirdest part? We hadn't been in the sun. We were in the forest, under the tree canopy most of the time. That light had burned us.
We thought about going to the hospital, but what would we say? We were exposed to a bright light by an unknown object, and now our skin is burned? No one would believe us. They'd admit us to a mental institution, not a hospital. The burns, they lasted 2 weeks. 2 long, uncomfortable weeks. They itched, they hurt, and then they disappeared completely, leaving no scars, no physical marks. But we still wonder. We still wonder about the long-term effects. Is there something else that light did? Something that's still inside us? We never camped in such an isolated place again. Never. Now, if we go into nature, it's to a cabin, a lodge, something with walls and a roof, something that gives us an illusion of security. We try not to talk about it much. It's like a silent secret among the 6 of us, an unspoken pact. But the memory is there.
This happened back in the late 70s, in our village, the kind of place where you don't really see outside as much. Our neighbor, his name was Silas, old Silas. Everyone respected him. He was like the heart of our little community. A good man, quiet. He had a small piece of land right next to our house. Just a few pigs, some chickens, nothing fancy, just life. Then, one night, it was starting to get dark. You know that time when the woods start to wake up with all those night sounds. But something was off. Silas's animals started making a racket. And it wasn't the usual kind of noise. It wasn't hunger or chickens fighting. It was panic. Real, frantic panic. Silas heard it, of course. And like anyone would, he assumed it was a wild animal, maybe a jaguar or something. So he grabbed his old machete and went out to check. He walked slowly through the brush, pushing through thick leaves, branches, trying to follow the noise. And then he saw a light. Not a lantern, not fire. This light, it was different. It just floated there, right over where his animals were. It pulsed, steady, slow, and gave off this low hum. He said he could feel it in the ground, in his feet. It wasn't loud, but it was there, and it didn't feel right. He crept closer, just a few feet away, peering through the leaves, trying to understand what he was seeing. And then, before he could even react, something grabbed him. He couldn't describe it well. He just said, it wasn't human. That's the word he used, non-human. He said it felt cold, unnaturally cold, not like a hand, not like anything we know. And then, everything went black. He passed out. When he came to, he said he felt like he was being dragged, pulled through the jungle, deeper and deeper. Branches scratched at him, leaves rustled, but he couldn't stop it. He started to scream, to cry out for help. He said he used every bit of breath he had. And that's when something did happen. Mateo, a young farmhand, he heard the screaming. He ran into the jungle. And as soon as he got close, that thing, whatever it was, let go. Just like that. Gone. Silas said he saw it lift into the sky. No sound, no wind. Just gone. Silas collapsed, shaking, barely breathing. After that night, he got really sick. His skin broke out in these strange welts, red, raised, but not like burns from fire. It was something else. He had fevers, nausea, and mentally, he was somewhere else. He didn't speak, didn't move, just stared for days. My mother and grandmother stayed with him. They used every jungle remedy they knew. Took turns watching him. His wife was terrified, heartbroken. It took months, seriously months, before he was strong enough to even talk. And when he finally did, the story was always the same. He swore it wasn't an animal, wasn't a person. He said it was something different. He kept repeating, the cold, that impossible cold. But what haunted him the most were his eyes. He said they were black, deep, empty, not dead, just void. No light, no life, just nothing. My grandmother always told me, these kinds of stories weren't uncommon. Not in our part of the world, not with that jungle all around us. She believed it was a place where things could pass through. Hunters used to go out in groups, not just for animals, but for them, because people had seen the lights. They'd heard things. They knew. And even today, my cousins still live out there, same region, and they say they still see things, lights, noises. And sometimes, things just disappear.
In my line of work, in technology, especially the kind of tech I deal with, you meet a lot of people. Important people. People who work in, well,
in places most of us don't even know exist. And sometimes, if you're lucky, or maybe unlucky, they let something slip. Something that changes how you see everything. Forever. A few years back, I became pretty close with this guy. Let's call him Alex. He was a big shot, you know? High up in some covert government agency. His job involved a lot of deployments to air bases, dealing with the country's air defense. He'd always have these incredible stories when he came back, about the pilots, about their missions, you know, just fascinating stuff. And he saw a lot, being so close to things. He was always at the main air bases, just hanging out with the fighter pilots. He'd really befriended them. And these guys, they were top brass, the best of the best, brave. But even they had seen things they didn't talk about, or at least not openly.
So, one particular day, Alex was there. And things were different. The base was just buzzing with a weird kind of tension. Not panic, but an urgency. Several fighter jets had just returned from some kind of urgent mission, and they were taxiing straight from the runway, straight into the hangars. No stopping, no usual procedures, just rush, rush, rush. And as one of them went past, Alex saw it. He couldn't believe his eyes. The aircraft, it was covered in these incredible markings. They were intricate, like writing, but not like any human writing. And they were glowing, a bright, pulsating blue light. And they weren't flat, like paint. No, they were raised, like they were part of the metal, like they had been carved into the very skin of the plane, but somehow glowing. He said it was like an alien script, just glowing blue. And immediately, almost before the jet had even stopped, ground crew, they swarmed it. They were in these special suits, you know? Like hazmat suits almost. And they had this equipment blasting the markings. It looked like they were sandblasting it almost. But it wasn't just sand. And as they blasted it, that glowing blue light, it faded. It turned dull. Like it was turning into the same dull gray as the aircraft's metal, just losing its glow. And then other officials, very serious, very quiet, they came in and they meticulously washed and scrubbed away any remaining traces, like they were wiping away a secret, which I guess they were. Later, Alex managed to talk to some of his pilot friends. He cornered one of them, asked him about it, and they spilled a bit. Not much, but enough. They said these markings, they were the result of encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, in our own airspace. They said it wasn't an everyday thing, thank God, but it wasn't unheard of either. Many of them, many pilots,
had experienced similar incidents. They called them contacts, and they explained that the sandblasting was a method they developed to deactivate the inscriptions before cleaning them. Made it easier to remove, they said, so they wouldn't have to repaint the whole damn plane every time. Can you imagine? The frequency, if they had to repaint every time.
But then they gave him a warning, a chilling one. They told Alex very, very seriously never to speak of what he saw. Never. Because pilots who had touched those activated inscriptions, they had suffered severely, psychologically. Some of them had lost their minds, and tragically, some of them had even lost their lives. That's what they said. These encounters, they were top secret, absolutely forbidden from being discussed inside or outside the base. Everyone just acted as if nothing had happened. Military routine just went back to normal, like a perfect, horrifying facade. After that day, Alex, he never shared another story like that. Not with me, not with anyone. And about a year later, he just stopped working at the air bases altogether. His pilot friends never brought it up again either. A total, complete silence, like it never happened. But I've since learned things from other sources, that reports of these extraterrestrial encounters, they're not uncommon in our nation's history. No. Documented cases going back decades. And sometimes even high-ranking officials, they're kept in the dark. For national security, they say. For secrecy. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? What other secrets are they keeping? What else is flying above us, just beyond our sight, leaving these strange marks?
Sometimes you think you've seen everything, especially when you've lived a long life, like me. You've been through wars, you've seen things. But then something happens. Something so out of nowhere. And it changes everything you thought you knew. This happened to me, to my wife, Martha, and me, out at our old farmhouse, in the middle of nowhere, really. It was a stormy afternoon. I remember that so clearly. A real nasty storm brewing. Martha and I, we were just taking a nap, a peaceful nap. The rain was just drumming on the tin roof of our little farmhouse, like a lullaby, really. A good, cozy sound. I remember thinking, this is nice. This is real peace. Must have been around 3 p.m. The sky was just dark, heavy, like it was holding back something big, filled with rain. And then, boom! Not thunder, though. Not like thunder. It was a crash, a loud metallic crash that just jolted me awake. And then at the same time, these lights, bright, unnaturally bright, they just flooded our whole bedroom, like someone had turned on 1,000 suns right outside our window. I mean, my eyes were hurting, my head was spinning. I stumbled out of bed, still half asleep, confused, trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And when I got out into the yard, oh my God, I'll never forget it, never. There it was, hovering, right there, above our field, just hanging
in the air. This strange craft. No sound, mind you. Absolutely silent. And it was glowing with a soft internal light. It wasn't anything I'd ever seen. Not a plane, not a helicopter, nothing like that. It was impossible. And then something came out of it from underneath. A being, a thing. I mean, I can't even tell you. It was tall, very slender, and his eyes were just big, dark. So dark, like black holes almost. Not human, definitely not human. And it moved in a way that it wasn't natural, not like us. And it extended his hand towards me. His fingers were long, thin, and it made a sound, a peculiar sound. Not words, just something. A strange, non-human utterance. And before I could even react, before I could scream, it grabbed my arm, my right arm, and his grip, oh my God, his grip was just incredibly strong, like steel. It clamped down on me and it started to pull. It started to pull me towards that vessel, that glowing thing. And I just knew what it wanted to do. It wanted to take me. I struggled, oh, how I struggled with everything I had. I pulled, I twisted, but its strength, it was just overwhelming. I couldn't break free, not at all. And the panic, that's when the real panic hit. It just surged through me. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would just burst out of my chest. And I just screamed for Martha. My voice was hoarse with pure terror, just her name, over and over.
And then she was there, Martha, my Martha. She rushed out. She saw it all. The craft, the thing pulling me. I saw her face, her eyes. They widened in disbelief at first, but then they hardened with determination. She didn't hesitate, not for a second. She grabbed my old service rifle. I was a veteran, We always kept it for protection. You never know out here. But not for this. And she started firing. Bang, 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 shot after shot. The sound of the rifle just echoing through that stormy air. But that thing, it didn't seem to care. It didn't flinch, didn't even loosen its grip, like the bullets were nothing. And then Martha started screaming. Not just my name, but for help. Just her cries piercing through the rain. So loud, so desperate. Our neighbors, they live a bit of a ways off, but they must have heard the gunshots, heard Martha's screams. And as they got closer, just as they were getting closer, running towards us through the rain, that thing, it released me. Just let go. Suddenly, I stumbled backwards, my arm throbbing, and it stepped back into its craft. And then it just went up, silently, like a ghost, vanished into that dark, stormy sky. As quickly as it had appeared, gone. I was left there trembling, shaking from head to toe. My arm, it was just throbbing where it had hold me. And Martha, my brave Martha, she saved me. She really did. Who knows? Who knows what would have happened if she hadn't come running, if she hadn't started shooting, if she hadn't just raised hell. I don't even want to think about it. We never saw that craft again. Never saw that being.
This happened when I was like 9 years old. Just 9. And I still don't have an answer for it. I don't know what it was. I had this habit back then. I don't know why. I'd be watching TV, usually by myself, late at night, and I'd always just kind of peek through the living room curtains, just stare out into the darkness. At nothing, really. Just staring. And one evening, I was doing just that. Watching some cartoon, probably. And I peered out. Like I always did. And that's when I saw it. Something that it froze me. Right to the bone. An alien. I know. I know it sounds totally unbelievable, like something out of a movie. But I swear to you, it was real. Right there, outside my window. It was small, only a little taller than I was, I think. And it glowed. Like, it emitted this faint, soft glow. Not bright, not glaring, just a soft light around it. And its eyes, its eyes were just huge, disproportionately large, and dark. So dark, like deep pools. And they were just captivating. I don't know why. I was terrified, but I couldn't look away from them. I don't know how long I stood there, paralyzed, just frozen, half by fear, half by some weird fascination. It felt like an eternity, like time had just stopped, and that thing, it just stood there, looking back at me, not moving, just watching. And finally, somehow, I managed to just let go of the curtain. I turned off the lights in the living room, and then I turned off the TV, and I scrambled to my room as fast as my little legs could carry me. I don't remember anything after that, just running. And then, the next morning, I woke up in my bed, completely disoriented. Like I'd just gone through something I couldn't even explain. My dad, he came in. He had this look on his face. He said, "I have something important to tell you." But I blurted it out about the alien before he could even say a word. "Dad, I saw an alien." And to my surprise, he believed me. He looked at me, really looked at me, and he said, "I know, something strange did happen. Because something had happened. Something horrible." We had a pet, a guinea pig. His name was Patches. He lived in his hutch out in our outdoor shed. And that morning, Patches was gone from his hutch, but they found him. His body was on the steps leading to the shed, and his head was in the garage, just separated, decapitated. And the thing is, there were no bite marks, no blood, no signs of a struggle, nothing. It was just like someone had simply just pulled his head clean off. It was horrifying. I mean, absolutely horrifying. A cat couldn't have done that. No cat could have opened the hutch. and the shed door was locked. A human couldn't have done it so cleanly, and there were no traces left, nothing. My mom, she refused to believe in an alien, of course, but she couldn't. She couldn't offer any other explanation. She just cried. My dad, he just kept saying, no one heard any noise. No animal, no human could have done that without a sound. After that day, I never saw anything like it again. Never. But the memory of that small, glowing figure outside my window and what happened to Patches, it still sends shivers down my spine. Even now, all these years later.
It was deep in the countryside, you see, in a little settlement, very quiet place, hardly anyone around. And it was just past midnight. I remember that clearly. My father, God rest his soul, he woke me up. His voice was urgent, but not scared, not exactly. More like excited or astonished. He just kept saying, "Come outside, child. Come see. You won't believe it." Our house, it faced this huge open field, just miles and miles of nothing but flat land stretching out under the sky. So we had a perfect unobstructed view of everything. He told me to hide behind this big bush right there at the edge of our patio. "Just look," he said. "Just look." And there it was. Oh, Lord. There it was. What people now call a UFO. I mean, I didn't have a name for it then. It was just there. It had this peculiar shape, like a disc. You know? Not like any airplane I'd ever seen, or a helicopter, nothing like that. No wings, no propellers, nothing. And it was luminous. It glowed, a soft, gentle white light from its outside. But inside there was this more concentrated, beautiful blue light. It was just mesmerizing. And it made no sound, no hum, no whirring, nothing. Just silence. Complete silence. The material, it looked like a mix of metal and something like glass. But not glass, not really. It was translucent almost. You could see through it to a degree. And that's what was truly astonishing. The beings inside, they were humanoid. Yes, definitely humanoid. But I couldn't tell you if they were men or women. They looked the same in a way. Very short hair. And they moved around inside the craft. The vessel itself was just floating there in the middle of our field, not moving an inch, just suspended. The beings, they walked along the perimeter of the craft, never crossing the center though. It was like there was something in the middle, like a motor, maybe, something they avoided. I could see 4 of them, as far as I could tell through that glowing material.
and they were observing. They were looking out into our field, holding these strange instruments up to their faces, like they were taking notes or measuring things. They seemed very busy, very purposeful. And from beneath the craft, every now and then, there'd be these gusts of wind just sweeping across the field. You could see the tall grass ripple like waves. It was strange, so strange, because there was no sound from the craft itself, just that wind. And they kept on with their observations. The object, it just hovered there for about half an hour, maybe a little more. I don't know exactly. Time just, it felt different. And then, slowly, it started to ascend, just slowly rising. And then it just disappeared up into the vastness of that night sky. Gone, like it had never been there at all. I believe what I saw. I do. There's no reason for me to lie. What would I gain? And the characteristics of that object, its lights, its silence, they match other stories I've heard from that time, from that region. What they were doing, why they were here, that remains a mystery, a complete mystery. But I know with absolute certainty that night, I know we are not alone. Never were, never will be.
It happened when I was really young, like 6 or 7 years old maybe, somewhere around there. My family, we grew up in this small town, and it was about a 40-minute drive from that whole famous alien incident. You know the one, the big one in the news back then. So when that big alien story broke, it was everywhere, right? All over the news. And it totally fascinated us kids. We'd play games, half joking, half serious about seeing aliens. Oh, I saw one. No, I saw one. It was all fun and games. Until one Friday night. That's when it all changed. My dad, he was out playing cards that night. So that meant we had free reign. All of us neighborhood kids. We were playing outside, running around, playing tag mostly. There was a big group of us too, maybe 15 kids, all running through the streets. Our neighborhood was pretty small, cozy, and there was this narrow stream that cut right through it. And our favorite hiding spot for hide and seek, it was always under the bridge, the one that went over the stream. That was our secret spot. So that night, as we were running through the street, getting close to the stream, we saw lights in the sky, way up there. And at first, honestly, we didn't think much of it. Back then, there were these big mobile rave parties, or sometimes for advertising. They'd use these super powerful lights to mark their location, or just for a show. So we just assumed it was that, just some big party happening somewhere. But then those same lights in the sky, they started to blink, erratic, not like normal lights, faster, and they were getting brighter. And then all of a sudden, poof, a massive power outage, the whole neighborhood, completely dark, silence, and then a blinding flash, just whoosh. It lit up the entire sky, everything, and all of us, we all looked up. Mesmerized. We couldn't tear our eyes away from whatever that thing was. And that's when it happened. In the stream, below us, while we were all looking up at the sky, it reflected something. A shadow. A small figure. Humanoid, kinda. But with something strange on its head. And it was just
there, reflected in the water. We all saw it. We all did.
I grabbed my brother's hand, just instinctively, and we ran. Oh my God, we ran like madmen, like pure madmen, towards our house. My brother, he scooped me up, and we just sprinted, fueled by sheer terror. Our house, it had this bamboo fence, not exactly Fort Knox, with all the kids, all of us just ran in the same direction towards my house, just seeking refuge, any refuge. And then a few minutes later, the lights came back on. The whole neighborhood. My mom, she came into the living room and she saw us, all of us, this swarm of terrified children, just breathing heavily, trying to calm down. She looked at us totally bewildered, like, where did you all come from? The game was over for that night, that's for sure. No one wanted to go back outside. We got bathed, went to bed early, which was a rare blessing for my mom, I guess. The next day though, you know how childhood amnesia is. It kind of kicked in. We were back out playing, normal again, or trying to be.
That's it for today. Whether these stories are real or not, I think what makes them remarkable is how personal they seem. If you have ever seen something strange or know someone who has, you can send it to scarearchive.cases at gmail.com. I would love to hear about it. Thank you for watching Scare Archive. Take care out there.